Hi guys, my name is Johan Libbe. I work for Synity as the head of pre-sales APJ, and today I'd like to share a little bit about our company and what we do and what makes us different. So about Synity. Synity has been around since 1996, originally known as Back Office Associates, and we've been rebranded recently to Synity. We have data experts around the globe, and a very important call out is we as a company do one thing and one thing only, and that's data. So it brings with a very unique set of skills and a combination of consultants that has a very unique capability from a techno-functional perspective to help customers with their data problems. So we help customers with their business problems by solving their data challenges. And ultimately, the fact that we've had 9 out of the top 10 life sciences companies, our customers, is proof that our software is really good when it comes to validations and reconciliations and checks and balances. So when it comes to the data problems that we solve, we help customers with many different problems. And that can be an initiative where they want to move from one system to another, like a data migration, or it might be where a customer wants to improve their customer master data for customer satisfaction improving, or it might be compliance driven, or it might be that the CFO office doesn't trust their actual dashboards and reports, so that underlying data needs to be corrected or cleansed. So basically we see data as a journey and not a destination, because each one of these individual activities where you need to perform some data activities, you have the opportunity to preserve and capture knowledge and reuse and accelerate the next initiative. To give you an example, if you have a data migration project and you run a lot of data validation checks on your data, those same validation checks can be saved and reused after you've moved to your new system to also make sure that you continuously monitor those data quality checks. And that ability to accelerate and reuse that data is what our platform brings. And the reason why is because we have one single platform that helps cater for all of these different data problems, whether it's metadata management, data quality, master data management, data governance, or whether it's compliance or reporting based. One solution, one platform to treat all your data problems. And that's what our software brings. And our software can help 2 types of customers. The one customer that's got a top-down approach, where they basically have a business strategy, they want to formulate a data strategy, and they want to execute against that, whether that is a cleanup exercise from a data quality perspective or maybe a metadata management project. But ultimately, we have that capability in our software to help that type of customer. We also have the bottom-up approach, where you have a mandated project, you have a data migration project. It's going to happen no matter what. You have a budget, but while you do that, you can use the same software to do the data migration, but also you can then save all of that knowledge and all those artifacts to reuse and accelerate your master data management project afterwards. And that's where the real value of our software lies, is the fact that we have the capability to reuse assets, and also the fact that you do not have to buy multiple different software pieces to serve the same purpose. We have one platform to treat all your data problems. Now today I would like to share a little bit more of one of these examples, and that is data migration. Now data migration is basically when you have to move data from one system to a new system. And you can think about it the same way you think about moving house. If you move to a new house, will you just throw everything you have in your house into a truck and load it off in your new house? No, you'll actually go and you'll look at your current house, you'll get rid of the old stuff, and you'll only migrate what needs to go into the new system. Now, if you think about a traditional data migration approach, it is often seen as an ETL activity. What is an ETL activity? Extract, transform, load. Very simple. So a lot of times data migration is just seen as we get some data guys, we'll do some ETL, and we'll load the data. It sounds very simple. But the reality is there's a lot of other things that happens in a data migration project. And it starts with preparation. You have to prepare for your data migration. You have to make sure that your data migration timelines align to your overall system implementation plan. You might have multiple systems going live at multiple or different times. You have multiple testing cycles, SIT, UIT, you have unit testing. So you have to align all of your data activities against that timeline, but also you need to know who's my data guy for procurement, who's my data guy for finance, who's my SMEs in each domain, who's my actual guy that needs to be contacted if the source system doesn't work, or the target system. So you've got all of this preparation activities that needs to go in your planning before you can even think about extracting data. Then you'll extract data, yes, but you also then need to profile the data. As I mentioned, if you move house, you need to understand your data. Have a look at the data, understand what is relevant, what is not relevant, what is your data quality. Do I actually have to do a massive cleanup exercise before I migrate? Do I need to harmonize data? Do I have multiple systems that I need to actually harmonize data from and create golden set of records? So all of that profiling and assessment and analysis activity needs to happen on the data as well. You then have your design. Your design is where the future state system will have specific fields that might or might not match what you currently have in your existing system. And those fields will keep on changing. There will be new fields. In some cases, there will be a reduction of fields where you have basically two fields that needs to be merged into one. So that design will change as the system, the business process re-engineering happens. And as that design of that system changes, your data activities need to be able to adapt to. You need to keep on changing your data in your source system to match that moving target. The next activity is the mapping. The mapping itself, it can really be troublesome if you do not have a good framework in place. What we see in traditional migrations is a lot of Excel files. Every business unit has got multiple Excel files, version control, the problem with the number of records before Excel locks. You've got all the formulas and all the calculations that goes in it. But let's assume you have all of that ready. It's still difficult just to put governance around managing all of those different files or Excel files with your mapping. Then the next activity is the construction of missing data. In most data migrations, you will end up needing to enrich or construct new data. To go and build up that new data, again, traditionally happens just with manual Excel files. Only then do you transform the data and load the data. So as you can see, there's a lot of other things that happens in a data migration project that is way beyond ETL. So if you think about how the customer's role is across all of these, the customer will basically have a project manager and they will have the SMEs. And these users will basically be involved in each one of these different verticals at different points in time. The SI will be the system implementation partner, will be responsible for the future state system design, the configuration, and all of those fields that you need to map against. So they'll just do the loading and they'll give you a template to say these are the fields that you need to go and populate data for. So what you have is this big gap in the middle that is the underestimated scope that is usually the responsibility of the customer. And this is where the real problem starts. So let me just run you through it. Let's assume you have a very good technical savvy IT department and they know ETL tools very well. They can use the best ETL tool in the world and go and build all those fancy extraction jobs to go and extract data from your multiple systems into a database. Again, into a database. Once your data is in a database, it is not in a format that your business users can interact to. Business users do not know how to interact with databases. So you then also have to have a data team. Your data team will need to take that data in your actual database and get it into a format that they can actually go to the business users with. That format will be driven by the SI's data fields that they have in the future state system. So let's assume that the data team does know what they are doing. They do take all of that data from a database in the staging area and they get it into what we usually see as Mr. Excel. Now again, you've got Excel files with a lot of data. And assuming again you don't have challenges like we see all the time with Excel in terms of volume driven locking, you then have to take all those Excel files and go to different business users, procurement, finance, obviously you've got project systems, different modules, different business processes, different business units. Sometimes you have group companies with multiple units in different geographies. And to manage the actual mapping of all of these files, all of these fields across different business user groups can really become very challenging. In fact, one of our customers has bought our software purely because of the nightmare that they had of managing their Excel files, just mapping. They didn't even care about the rest. Just the fact that we can bring something to help them with that was enough for them. So what you have really is a collaboration problem, an orchestration problem. It's not an ETL problem. It's the fact that you have to have all of these people that need to get the right data at the right time. And that is where we basically can help. Now, Let's again assume that you've got your right IT guy, your technical savvy guy, they extracted data in your database to Excel file, got all the data, checks and balances, reporting done manually on your data, all is good. Then your data team needs to consolidate all the information back into the format that is required for the SI to load data. The SI will usually give you a format to say, I need the data in this. So now the data team needs to go and get all that data consolidated and give it to the SI for loading. The problem is, this usually only happens 70% down the line. Typically in a traditional data migration project, the first time they can load actual data from the source system into the new system is when the SI has actually gone through the blueprint phase, through the design phase, and they actually have an SIT box ready up and running for you to pump data in. Now the problem with that is that usually only happens at the latter stage of the project, which means you only have about 30% of your project duration left. And this is the first time you attempt to load data. Guaranteed there will be problems. Guaranteed you'll find errors. So the SI will take those errors, go back to the data team, say these are the failures. Data team needs to go back to all the business users. You drag all the SMEs into the conversation to make sense out of it all. What's wrong? What's missing? Was it because of a mapping mistake? I don't know. The SMEs will spend time just doing analysis of data instead of focusing on business problems. So now you have, again, the fact that you've got your testing cycles, you've got your change management going on, you've got your training going on, all of these project activities at the latter stages of the project, and now you actually also have your data problems to solve. So what you have is you have all of these activities that happens in crunch time, when the pressure is on, when the heat is on. And in fact, you had a lot of time in your project to actually treat your data challenges, which has been wasted because you only loaded your data the first time during the SIT phase. So what you can also compound on that is the fact that your design will change. During these testing cycles, guaranteed, the SI will discover some changes needed to the design. That might be because of a lack of fields, or it might be because of new business processes or changes to business process. But ultimately, you can anticipate that data fields will change. Now let me walk you through an example. The SI might introduce 2 new data fields in material management because of a discovery in the SIT cycle. What does this mean? This means that the functional guys need to go and write new functional specification documents for these 2 new fields. That needs to be translated into a technical specification document. Once it goes through all the approval cycles and everybody's happy, it then gets released to the data team. The data team gets the technical specification document. They need to go back to all the business users to say, hey, I've got these 2 new data fields. Can you help me map them against? The business users will then tell you what fields it should be mapped against. You need to go back to the IT team. IT team needs to go and extract again all the data that's applicable to these 2 new fields, back to the data team, into the Excel files, back to the business users to make sure that they actually have the data that they expected, that it's right and it's mapped accordingly. And that also needs to be built into all the trackers, reporting, and all of those updates that needs to happen in multiple places, just for 2 fields. Now, in every single data migration project I've been involved, I've seen this happen time and again. Design keeps on changing, and if you do not have a framework in place that allows for you to adapt to this environment where you have these changes keep on coming, you're going to have problems. And again, re-emphasizing, traditionally this all happens at this stage of the project when the pressure is on, SIT, UIT phase. And that is basically where you can expect a firefight. We see it time and again. So many customers call us when they're already in this state because they only see the data when they get to this testing cycles. So what you have is underestimated scope, lack of visibility, you've got manual, error-prone, siloed decision-making and work, and ultimately you put your whole program at risk. Your whole initiative of moving to a new, fancy new system is put at risk because of the data problems that you have. And that is really where Synity comes in. Synity has got software called the Synity Knowledge Platform, and it is built for data migration as one of the items in your data journey. Now, from a data migration perspective, you still have your SI. The SI will still do the loading, they'll still do the design of the future state system, and they'll still give you the target fields that the customer needs to map against. But instead of having all of that manual work in the middle, that is where the Synity Knowledge Platform comes in. It comes with a lot of automation built into the platform. In fact, Synity's migration methodology is seen as the de facto data migration standard. It's got the best practice built into the software. So it comes with a lot of automation that helps with these manual activities. Everything that can be automated is automated in the Synity Knowledge Platform. And it starts with the preparation phase. As I mentioned, it's so important to prepare. It's so important to align your actual goals, your milestones, your timelines, your data owners, your teams, your roles, your responsibilities against the overall timeline. That preparation sets you up for success. The ability to take a data migration project, put it in smaller manageable buckets, and assign business use against for reporting and for actual visibility is very important. Our software allows you to do that, and it allows that visibility, that much needed visibility, to see how you progress through your different phases. The project manager's biggest fear is not knowing, and our software brings that ability because you plan properly. That sets you up for the right level of reporting throughout. The next step is your data analysis and profiling. Yes, you need to extract the data, but you also need to profile the data and understand the data. Now, our ability with our software to extract data has actually shown that we have a reduction of 10% of the total migration effort just on the extraction alone. And the reason for that is we don't only have the capability to extract data, but we also have the automation to ensure that we make it as easy as possible. You hit a button, we bring the metadata. You hit a button, we bring the data. That ability to bring all of that data as easy as possible means you can spend time on what really matters. Get the technical stuff out of the way and get going. So that's what's our profiling and assessment capability. On top of that, we've got automated profiling reports being run on the data as they are extracted. And that really helps to set you up for success. Also, for the extraction, we also cater for the deltas. You'll never have a case of just migrating data and extracting it once. Business, as usual, will keep on running on that source system, and you will get new data coming into that system. So with our software, you can schedule the extracts to make sure you pick up all of those delta changes to make sure you always work towards that moving target. So from a data analysis and profiling perspective and extraction perspective, there's a lot of automation built in to make it as easy as possible. The next step is our design. We help customers two ways with the design. The first fact is we have the target baseline data model built into our software, and that allows for us to start early. You can start on day one of the project to map your fields against that target state data model. It's not final, yes, but you can start. You have enough information available to know that your future state system will bring these fields at least. So that ability to have that data model in the system is what brings that timeline from the SIT all the way to the beginning, which brings a lot of, it sets you up in terms of having the bulk of your project timeline to treat your data gaps. So that ability to have the design in the system helps to kickstart the project, but also as the system implementation partner change the design, build the design, make their changes in that future state system, we import those configuration and metadata to make sure that the design in the platform keeps on aligned to the actual changing future state system. And that means that as you map, as you cleanse, you always do that against the actual target configuration that you are moving towards. The next step is the end user mapping. As you've seen on my previous slide, the mapping alone can be very messy. It can be many Excel files that's difficult to handle. Our platform gives you one single source of truth where you can manage your mapping with a very user-friendly, intuitive interface. Not only can you do all the field mappings, you can also have full traceability and auditability in terms of who changed the mapping when. You also have workflow capabilities to make sure that you get your proper SMEs into this process to, if you have to do a mapping and procurement, kick off a notification to your SME to approve it. So it is a process built into the platform to help you with your mapping. But again, the fact that it's in the software, everybody can log into their own browser and see the mapping and act on it if needed. It's in one place. You don't have many files running around. That really helps to control your actual mapping. The next phase is the construction and automation and the cleansing. So again, instead of having multiple manual files you need to go and cleanse and construct data against, we basically have that capability to construct data within the platform. So we have what we call data construction pages, which is like a controlled version of Excel within the platform. It's got built-in validations. The business users can capture the data in the platform, and it hooks into that sequential process of the migration. So you don't have any pieces that will get missing. So that ability to construct new data in the platform also allows you to cleanse data. So we have, again, the ability for users to interact with this data in the software where they can go and change values if needed. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the design is in the system, the mapping is in the system. What this allows for us to do is to automatically transform all of that data from the source state to the target state in a staging area. That happens automatically. 75% of that code is automatically generated. And not only do we generate the code to transform the data, we also automatically generate validation checks to be run on that target data to make sure that even before you load it, you want to check if your data complies with that future state system requirements. So that ability to automatically transform the data, put it in a staging area, again saves you a lot of time and effort to go and do your checks and balances. Now you've got your data transformed, ready in the staging area, you've simulated what it looks like, you run your validation checks, and now do you go off and load. Our loading mechanisms, we integrate with all the standard mechanisms. In the SAP world, this can be LSMWs, BDCs, PAPIs, whatever application layer migration methods available, we leverage that. We do not bypass that, we don't go directly into the database, and that is for the simple reason of keeping the integrity and making sure we migrate solid data. So once we've loaded the data, again, ETL tools will be for loading, but what our software brings on top of that is the fact that we have very comprehensive reconciliation capabilities. We can reconcile data from your source system to your staging area to your target system. That complete data lineage and complete visibility in terms of what your data looked like in the beginning and what was eventually loaded is really powerful, and that ability to reconcile from an auditing perspective is also very good. So that reconciliation, coupled with all the automatic dashboarding that we bring, helps project managers to keep the project on track. That initial preparation phase to set up your milestones, and then the dashboards that runs on top of all of that metrics to keep you on the rails, really helps project managers to manage their project. So what's the customer involvement in this process? The customer will still be responsible for the cleansing, but it will be facilitated by the automated platform. The customer will not need to go and run around to chase the data, but in fact the data comes to them. The workflow-driven cleansing will be kicked off where the data goes to the actual customers for them to act on. So if there's an error report that runs on the customer master data, that error report will automatically be emailed to the guy or the SME, the domain expert for customer data to say, hey, there's an error, please act on it. He doesn't need to wait for Excel files that's got a lot of information that's not relevant to him. Again, as I mentioned, the automated dashboarding capabilities makes a project manager's life so easy. Anyone that's been in a data migration project has seen what steerco meetings can be like, and the data migration manager spends nights to just collate information and double check the metrics and make sure that they've got all the information required to go and have that important meeting in the steerco to report back on progress. All of that is taken care of with our software to automatically generate that dashboards to make sure that the only thing that project manager must do is walk into that steerco meeting with his tablet, and all the information is right there. How far are they with the mapping? How far are they with the cleansing? Are we on track? Are we overdue? Which areas? Where's the bottlenecks? All of that is being done for him. So ultimately, to summarize it, what makes our software different from ETL tools is the fact that it's not an ETL tool. It is a business process driven platform to help with end-to-end data migration. It comes with automation, simulation, orchestration, and visibility. Those 4 items helps you reduce your effort and risk. The fact that you can automate as much as possible reduces not only man days, but it allows for your actual users to focus on what is important. The fact that it comes with simulation makes sure that you don't have to wait for your SIT to see what your data looks like. You can simulate what that data looks like by running your target data validation checks on actual target requirements. The fact that you can orchestrate your data migration means you can send your data to the right guy at the right time. You can kick off that workflow to make sure that everybody does their part when it's required. And then that much needed visibility. Again, a project manager's worst nightmare is not knowing. Our software brings that transparency, it brings that visibility, and you always know where you are. You want to see your bottlenecks and you want to act on it before it's too late. And that's what our software brings. But those items are just the reduction of effort and risk. What it also does, it increases the value. Our customers do not move to a new system just because they wanted to. There is a business strategic reason for that move, and our software helps to optimize that data as well. Business runs on systems, systems runs on data. To make sure that data serves the processes is what our software brings. So we increase the value by improving your data quality and to get it fit for purpose to ensure that your business-ready data is loaded into your target state system. On top of that, we can also, because as you saw on one of my earlier slides, we have one platform that supports multiple different requirements. This is just one. This is data migration. You can use the same platform for data quality, metadata management, master data management, and all of your other BI analytics support activities. The fact that we have all of this knowledge that we can capture and reuse is really powerful, and that sets you up to accelerate your new initiatives, and that also accelerates your return on investment. We have an independent review that's actually seen that our software gets paid back in 80% or in 8 months' time. That's how confident we are to say that our data migration platform will not only get you across the line, but it'll also improve your business processes and your return on investment. So what our software brings is a lot of automation that drives efficiency, that reduces your cost, but also the fact that you can get back to run your business. Let the intelligent software do the data activities and let your SMEs focus on what really matters. Business-ready data on time, on budget. Again, business-ready data. I cannot emphasize that more. It's not just about lifting and shifting data. It's about improving and optimizing your data to make sure that your future state system performs as optimal as possible so that your business can perform better. Better data, better business. And that's what the Synity Knowledge Platform brings. So thank you for your time today. And if you need more information, you can go and visit synity.com.
Synity. Infinite potential unlocked.